The 1959 Chevrolet El Camino wasn't just another car or another truck. It was both, and somehow neither. Born from a moment of corporate panic and creative rebellion, it blurred the lines between utility and style, power and practicality. Some call it America's first muscle truck. Others see it as a confused experiment wearing tailfins too wild for its own good. Yet, beneath its contradictions lies a story of innovation, ego, and ambition that shaped an entire automotive era. Before the muscle car wars began, one peculiar machine quietly started the fight. From the bed of a Chevrolet, the road that sold a dream. When Chevrolet decided to fight Ford's popular Ranchero, they didn't just build a competitor, they built an entire narrative, starting with the name. Ford's choice, Ranchero, was literal, meaning rancher. It evoked images of work, ranches, and rugged utility. Chevrolet went in a completely different, far more romantic direction. They chose El Camino, a Spanish name meaning the way, or the road. This wasn't just a random pick. It was a sophisticated marketing move. El Camino suggests destiny, a journey, and a sense of adventure. It was a name that promised a lifestyle, not just a payload capacity. This choice was almost certainly a deliberate nod to California's famed El Camino Real, or the King's Highway, the historic route connecting the Spanish missions. By the 1950s, that road was a symbol of West Coast glamour and the freedom of car culture. From the very beginning, Chevrolet was positioning its new creation not as a humble work truck, but as a stylish, aspirational vehicle. It was a companion for the open road, wrapped in the mystique of the Golden State. It was a subtle but powerful signal that this machine was meant to be more than just a hauler. It was a personal statement, a rivalry that ate itself. The 1959 El Camino has always lived in the shadow of one simple fact: Ford did it first. The Ford Ranchero hit showrooms for the 1957 model year, 2 full years before Chevy had an answer. It looks like a clear-cut case of Chevrolet playing catch-up, but the real story is far more circular and complex. The truth is, Ford likely built the Ranchero only because Chevrolet gave them the idea. We have to rewind to 1955 and the Chevrolet Cameo carrier. The Cameo wasn't a car-truck hybrid, it was a standard pickup. But it was the first gentleman's truck, a vehicle that blurred the lines between work and style. Chevrolet gave it smooth fiberglass bedsides, flashy two-tone paint, and a plusher, more comfortable interior. It was a workhorse dressed up for a night on the town, and it generated a ton of market buzz. Ford's designers saw this buzz and took the concept one logical step further. Instead of putting car styling onto a truck, why not build a truck from a car? The 57 Ranchero, based on a passenger car chassis, was born. It was a massive success, leaving Chevrolet in the bizarre and ironic position of having to copy a competitor's vehicle that was only built to compete with their own original innovation. A pre-war concept reborn. The 1959 El Camino looked like it was pulled straight from the jet age. With its wild fins and low-slung profile, it seemed like a totally new futuristic idea. It was Chevrolet's answer to the Ford Ranchero, and the beginning of a new segment, right? Well, not exactly. It turns out the El Camino wasn't a new idea at all. It was a resurrection. If you flip through an old Chevrolet catalog from 1936, you'll find the coupe pickup. This wasn't a stylish experiment. It was a practical dual-purpose vehicle aimed at small business owners and farmers. It was literally a Chevrolet business coupe that had its trunk replaced with a small, integrated pickup bed. It was surprisingly popular, selling over 3,000 units in its first year alone, and it stayed in the lineup until civilian car production was halted for World War II in 1942. This forgotten history changes the whole story. The 1959 El Camino wasn't just a panicked reaction to Ford, it was a confident modernization of a proven pre-war Chevrolet concept. The company already had the institutional knowledge for building a car pickup. The post-war economic boom, the rise of the suburbs, and America's new obsession with style and V8 power simply created the perfect storm to bring this old, practical idea back to life. This time, in a spectacular, flamboyant new form, a car wearing a truck's badge. We know the El Camino was, at its core, a passenger car. It was built on a station wagon frame, designed for a smooth ride and flashy styling. Yet, when it came time to create the brochures and print ads, Chevrolet's marketing department made a baffling decision. They officially grouped the El Camino in with their Task Force truck line, These were the real, rugged, body-on-frame workhorses, like the Apache pickup, designed for heavy-duty labor. This was a calculated gamble. Chevrolet was trying to borrow toughness by association. They hoped that by placing the El Camino next to real trucks in the catalog, they could convince traditional buyers that this sleek, bat-winged vehicle was genuinely tough enough for a worksite. Their own slogan, "More than a car, more than a truck," perfectly captured this confusion. It was a vehicle engineered like a car to appeal to suburbanites, but branded as a truck to appeal to farmers and contractors. This dual identity was a paradox that defined the El Camino's entire existence, leaving customers to wonder what exactly they were supposed to be buying. It was a rolling identity crisis right there in print, from down under to icon status. While the 1959 Chevrolet El Camino was designed for American streets, it found an unexpected audience halfway around the world in Australia. In a country dominated by practical utilitarian vehicles suited for long distances and rough roads, the El Camino's dramatic fins, sweeping chrome, and car-like comfort stood out like a showpiece. Australians quickly embraced it, not just as a functional coupe utility, but as a symbol of bold American style and automotive flair. Unlike the typical Australian ute, which prioritized toughness and practicality over aesthetics, the El Camino offered a striking blend of utility and glamour. Its exaggerated design, which some American buyers found excessive, was celebrated for its sheer audacity. It transformed from a niche domestic model into a cultural icon, showing that a truck could be glamorous, fun, and aspirational all at once. This unusual international appreciation highlights the El Camino's ability to transcend its original purpose. Originally conceived as a stylish car-truck hybrid for suburban Americans, it unexpectedly became a design ambassador abroad, turning ordinary Australian streets into a runway for American automotive excess. Its fame in Australia underscores the vehicle's dual personality, part functional hauler, part show-stopping star, and proves that even a practical pickup can achieve global celebrity, built from 3 different cars. The 1959 El Camino appears to be its own unique model, but it's actually a brilliant parts bin masterpiece. It's an automotive chimera, strategically assembled from 3 different 1959 Chevrolets. This composite construction meant it was simultaneously a Bel Air, a Biscayne, and a station wagon, all rolled into one. First, the foundation. To get the 119-inch wheelbase and the structural support needed for a cargo bed, engineers started with the robust chassis of the 2-door Brookwood station wagon. That gave it the bones. But a plain wagon wasn't going to turn heads. For the visual sizzle, Chevrolet draped the El Camino in the exterior trim of its popular mid-level Bel Air. All that flashy chrome and the elegant full-length bodyside moldings? That's pure Bel Air, giving it incredible curb appeal. Then, you open the door, and the strategy shifts entirely to cost control. The entire interior, from the seat upholstery to the door panels, was sourced directly from the Spartan entry-level Biscayne. It was durable and cheap. Think about that disconnect. It's a social climber in reverse. It was dressed for a Saturday night party on the outside, but built for a Monday morning job on the inside. This wasn't random. It was a calculated formula to balance style, function, and price. Engineering for a license plate. A license plate bracket seems like a tiny, insignificant detail. On the 1959 El Camino, however, it was a marvel of complex engineering. The stylist demanded that when the tailgate was lowered, it would create a perfectly flat and seamless 91-inch extension of the bed floor. This was a key functional and aesthetic goal, but it created a huge problem. Where do you put the license plate? A bumper mount would be completely hidden when the gate was down. A plate on the tailgate itself would flip horizontal, making it unreadable and illegal. The solution was a complex mechanical assembly housed entirely within the tailgate. It wasn't just a simple hinge. As the tailgate was lowered, a special mechanism allowed the entire license plate carrier to pivot down and out, ensuring the plate always remained vertical and visible. When the gate was closed, it retracted flush into its recess. This single, small feature is a perfect example of the 1950s styling at all costs philosophy. The simple, cheap solution was rejected because it wasn't stylish enough. Instead, engineers were forced to design, tool, and manufacture a complicated, expensive, multi-part mechanism, all for a license plate. It shows the absolute priority placed on achieving a specific visual statement, no matter the engineering cost. An enormous personal pickup, The marketing term personal pickup might make you think of something modest, perhaps the size of a modern small truck. But the 1959 El Camino was a true product of the late 50s bigger is better philosophy. This vehicle was, in a word, enormous. It was built on the exact same platform as the full-size Chevrolet Impala and Bel Air, so it inherited their massive dimensions. From its V-shaped grille to the tip of its bat-wing fins, the El Camino measured 210.9 inches long. That is nearly 17.6 feet. This number is so large, it's hard to grasp until you compare it to something on the road today. A 2024 Chevrolet Tahoe, a vehicle that dominates parking lots and is widely considered one of the largest family SUVs you can buy, has an overall length of 210.7 inches. That means this two-seat personal pickup from 1959 is longer than a three-row full-size modern SUV. This fact completely reframes what the El Camino was. It wasn't a small, nimble utility vehicle. It was a true heavyweight with a cargo bed, a stunning physical embodiment of an era where even a pickup was designed to be a massive, chrome-drenched status symbol, dressed for work and play. The 1959 El Camino wasn't just a practical pickup. It was a statement of style, made clear by the impressive range of colors it offered. Buyers could choose from 13 solid shades and 10 two-tone combinations, giving a total of 23 distinct options. This level of personalization was far beyond what was typically available for work trucks at the time, which usually came in simple, functional colors. The wide variety of paint schemes allowed owners to express personality while still enjoying the utility of a pickup. A small business owner could have a truck that looked sharp at a job site, while a suburban family could cruise Main Street in a vehicle that reflected their taste and style. Two-tone combinations in particular added a sense of sophistication more commonly associated with Chevrolet's passenger cars, bridging the gap between workhorse and showpiece. By offering such a broad palette, Chevrolet positioned the El Camino as a vehicle that combined practicality with personal expression, challenging the traditional boundaries between trucks and stylish passenger cars. A steel revolution in trucks. One of the El Camino's biggest selling points was something we now take completely for granted: its bed. For generations, American pickup trucks were built with wooden planks for the bed floor, often with steel strips for reinforcement. It was a practical, inexpensive, and easily repairable design that stretched all the way back to the horse and buggy era. If you bought a real truck, it had a wooden bed. Chevrolet's marketing, however, heavily promoted the 1959 El Camino as the first Chevrolet pickup to have an all-steel bed floor. This was a revolutionary step. This change was partly born from necessity. The El Camino's sleek, car-based body was all one piece. A separate, rustic wood bed just wouldn't have looked right or integrated properly with those flowing fins. The solution was a modern, corrugated sheet metal insert. By ditching wood for steel, Chevrolet was making a clean break from the purely agricultural and work-focused image of the pickup truck. This feature, which seemed so novel and stylish on the El Camino, was a look into the future. It signaled the pickup's shift to a more sophisticated suburban vehicle and would eventually become the standard for the entire industry. Hidden wagon floor below. That new steel bed we just talked about was a modern marvel, but it was also hiding a fascinating secret. One of the strangest quirks of the El Camino is what lies just beneath that corrugated metal. To save time and money, Chevrolet's engineers didn't design a new, flat structure for the El Camino's bed. Instead, they took a remarkable shortcut. They used the complete unmodified floor pan from the two-door Brookwood station wagon. Hidden right under the bed of every 1959 El Camino is original, deep-stamped footwells for the wagon's rear seat passengers. They serve absolutely no purpose, but they are there. Chevrolet's solution was to simply bolt the new steel bed insert directly on top of this passenger car floor, covering up the car's origins. This makes the El Camino a true automotive hybrid, right down to its bones. It's a tangible, physical reminder of the vehicle's parts bin origins. It's a truck bed, literally bolted on top of the ghostly footprint of the family car it was built from. Hidden trunk mystery, smuggler's box. That bizarre construction method, bolting a flat steel bed over a curvy station wagon floor, had an immediate and fascinating unintended consequence. It created a large, empty void, an accidental compartment between the bed floor and the wagon's footwells. From the factory, this space was completely sealed off. It was totally inaccessible. To General Motors, it didn't exist. It was just a byproduct of a cost-saving shortcut. For many owners, this void was actually a problem, as it was a perfect place for moisture to get trapped, leading to hidden rust. But resourceful owners soon discovered this large, wasted space and realized its potential. They got out their tools and started cutting access panels, either through the bulkhead behind the seat or directly into the front of the bed. This transformed that useless void into a massive, secure, and completely hidden storage compartment. It was, in effect, a secret weatherproof trunk that no one knew was there. This popular, owner-made modification quickly earned a legendary nickname, the smuggler's box. It's a classic case of user innovation, where the enthusiast community found a brilliant purpose for a factory oversight. A car's frame, not a truck's. Beneath the skin, the El Camino's engineering was 100% passenger car, and this fact defined its entire character. This is the core element that separated it from every real truck in Chevrolet's 1959 lineup. Your standard task force truck, like an Apache, was built on a heavy-duty parallel rail ladder frame. It was stiff, strong, and paired with rigid leaf springs in the back. This setup was designed for one thing: durability and hauling heavy loads under harsh conditions. The El Camino, in stark contrast, was built on the safety girder X frame. This was the exact same chassis used under the 1959 Impala, Bel Air, and Biscayne. This frame, which crisscrosses in the middle, wasn't designed for maximum load. It was designed to allow the body to sit lower and to provide a more compliant, comfortable ride. To complete the car-like feel, it didn't have leaf springs. It had coil springs at all four corners, just like a sedan. This was a very deliberate trade-off. It gave up the brute strength and ultimate payload of a dedicated truck to gain a ride quality that was famously smooth and handled just like a Chevrolet passenger car. This engineering definitively answers the car or truck question from a structural level: unrestricted powertrain access. Because the El Camino was built on a passenger car platform, it received a massive and unprecedented advantage over every other pickup on the market. Buyers got unrestricted access to Chevrolet's entire selection of available powertrains. This was a radical departure from the norm. When you bought a standard task force truck in 1959, your engine choices were extremely limited, focusing on 6 cylinders and basic V80s built purely for low-end torque and work. The El Camino, however, could be anything you wanted it to be. This decision gave the vehicle multiple, distinct personalities. A buyer could order it as a sensible, economical work vehicle by sticking with the 135 horsepower, high-thrift, 6-cylinder engine. But that same buyer could also browse the entire V8 list. This meant you could check the boxes for any of Chevrolet's most potent V80s, effectively creating a high-performance street machine with a cargo bed. This level of freedom was completely new for a utility vehicle. It allowed the El Camino to be a humble shop truck, a stylish cruiser, or a stoplight terror, all depending on what was checked on the order form. Big block power unleashed. That unrestricted access to the engine list is the single biggest reason the El Camino earned its muscle truck reputation. At the very top of that list, past the 6-cylinder and the small block 283S, was Chevrolet's premier big block engine, the 348 cubic inch turbo thrust V8. This engine, known as the W block because of its distinctively shaped valve covers, was the same top-tier motor you could get in the high-performance Impala. A buyer could walk into a dealership and order their El Camino with this 348 topped with an optional triple 2-barrel carburetor setup. By mid-1959, this combination was churning out a staggering 335 horsepower. This was an immense headline-grabbing power figure for the era, putting the El Camino in an elite performance category. This single option completely transformed the vehicle's character. It was no longer just a stylish utility vehicle. It was a legitimate street and strip contender. It was the ultimate dual personality machine, a vehicle that could genuinely haul cargo during the week and hunt for sports cars on the weekend. Hot Rod's shocking verdict. That 348 big block wasn't just a theoretical number on a spec sheet. The El Camino's performance potential was proven on the tarmac by the Bible of speed itself, Hot Rod Magazine. In 1959, they got their hands on an El Camino equipped with the 115 horsepower version of the triple carburetor, solid lifter, 348 V8, mated to a 4-speed manual transmission. When they put it through its paces, the results were astonishing. They clocked a 0, 60-mile-per-hour time of around 7 seconds. To understand how fast that is, you have to remember what else was on the road. A typical family sedan in 1959 took 12 to 15 seconds or more to get to 60. This truck was doing it in half the time. This level of acceleration wasn't just fast for a truck. It was fast, period. It placed the El Camino deep into high-performance sports car territory. It was quicker than many contemporary Porsches and was running neck and neck with the acceleration of a base-model Corvette. Hot Rod also estimated a blistering top speed of 130 miles per hour. This instrumented test was the objective, undeniable proof that validated the entire muscle truck concept. It showed the world this wasn't just a stylish hauler, it was a genuine factory-built hot rod. Corvette tech in a pickup. While the 348 big block brought the brute force, it wasn't the most exotic engine on the El Camino's option list. That honor belongs to two versions of the 283 cubic inch V8 topped with Rochester Ramjet mechanical fuel injection. This was the absolute pinnacle of American performance technology, a complex, expensive, and finicky system that offered superior throttle response and horsepower. It was an engine known to the public for one primary reason. It was the top-of-the-line option in the Chevrolet Corvette. Chevrolet's decision to include this option, even if only on paper, sent a bold message. It suggested that the El Camino was not merely a utilitarian pickup with style, it could also be a high-tech performance machine. The possibility of equipping a cargo-hauling vehicle with a fuel-injected Corvette engine blurred the lines between truck, cruiser, and high-performance sports car. While records show that very few, if any, El Caminos were actually built with the ramjet system, the mere existence of the option elevated the vehicle's status. It implied that an El Camino could, in theory, combine practicality, flair, and cutting-edge engineering in one package, creating a new class of automotive possibility, a decisive sales victory. The El Camino entered the market as the underdog. It was 2 years late to the party that Ford had started with the Ranchero in 1957. Ford had a 2-year head start and basically owned this new car truck segment. Chevrolet was playing catch-up, and a Me Too product rarely dominates. But when the 1959 sales figures were finally counted, the results were a complete shock. In its debut year, Chevrolet sold a staggering 22,246 El Caminos, and its established rival, the Ford Ranchero, it only managed to sell 14,169 units during that same period. This wasn't just a good start, it was a total knockout. The brand new El Camino didn't just compete, it dominated, outselling the incumbent by more than 8,000 vehicles. The American public had voted with their wallets, and the verdict was crystal clear. The reasons for this triumph were clear. Buyers were drawn to the El Camino's bold styling. Its comfortable ride, courtesy of passenger car underpinnings, combined with powerful V8 engine options, offered a unique blend of utility and performance. The El Camino seemed to fulfill the desires of consumers who wanted practicality without sacrificing style or speed. The initial sales figures not only proved that the El Camino had captured public imagination, but also set the stage for a lasting presence in the American automotive landscape. The sudden sales collapse. The El Camino's 1959 debut was a triumphant victory. It outsold its rival, dominated the segment, and looked like Chevrolet's next big hit. But that victory party was shockingly short-lived. In 1960, the bottom fell out. After selling over 22,000 units in its first year, sales for the 1960 El Camino plummeted to just 14,163. That's not a gradual decline. It's a catastrophic 36% sales collapse in a single year. Chevrolet had tried to keep it fresh. The 1960 model featured a significant restyle that toned down the wild 59 fins for a more subdued horizontal look. But this styling update clearly didn't connect with the public. The novelty of the 1959 styling, which had been its primary weapon against the Ranchero, was gone. The El Camino went from being the segment leader to a struggling model almost overnight. This dramatic reversal wasn't just a bad sign, it was a death warrant. The sales figures were so alarming that Chevrolet management concluded the entire experiment was a failure. They immediately pulled the plug, and just like that, the first-generation El Camino was dead, canceled by a compact. So why did the El Camino's sales collapse so hard? It wasn't just the toned-down 1960 styling. The primary cause was a brilliant strategic move by Ford. While Chevrolet gave its full-size El Camino a mild facelift, Ford executed an absolute pivot. They discontinued their large, Fairlane-based Ranchero and introduced an all-new version based on their wildly popular new compact car, the Falcon. This new Falcon Ranchero was smaller, lighter, more fuel-efficient, and significantly cheaper. Ford had correctly guessed that America was tiring of late 50s excess and was ready for the economy-minded 60s. The full-size El Camino was suddenly the wrong vehicle at the wrong time. The sales figures tell the whole story. After being outsold by 8,000 units in '59, the new compact Ranchero crushed the El Camino in 1960, selling over 21,000 units to the El Camino's 14,163. Faced with this sales disaster and a clear market shift, Chevrolet's response was swift and brutal. They made the obvious call. They completely discontinued the El Camino after the 1960 model year. To cancel a model after just 2 years, especially after such a triumphant debut, was a drastic move. It turned the first-generation El Camino into a brilliant flash in the pan. The 1959 Chevrolet El Camino remains one of the most unusual creations in American automotive history, a car that refused to fit neatly into any category. From its hidden smuggler's box, a secret void turned into a clever storage space by owners, to the outrageous option of Corvette-style fuel injection in a pickup, the El Camino blurred the line between practicality and performance. It could be ordered as a humble workhorse, or as a 335-horsepower street machine capable of challenging sports cars. The El Camino proved that bold ideas, no matter how unconventional, could capture imaginations, turning a simple utility vehicle into a timeless American icon.